Many people think that being a mogul is all about living in big houses, driving fine cars, taking their dream vacations, having a white picket fence, like the big American dream. But people really don't see what really goes on behind the scenes in the lives of moguls. So this spring, I'm launching this show called Mogulish, More Than Meet the Eye. Follow me so that you can get the inside scoop of what really goes on in the daily lives of moguls. When I first started, I did start with the family. It was a very family business. Like my grandmother worked in the infant room, yes, my Panamanian grandma, with all of the Panamanian home remedies. I'm like, no, grandma, this is not gonna work here. We can't put Vicks on the kids' heads. And so we started off as a family business, but I'm happy because when you walk through the doors of any of our locations, you still have that family feel. So my family actually were the template. We actually set the model of the school where every child that walked through the door will be treated like a shining star. And so there's something very formal and unique that we do when people walk in. We go, hey, little star, how bright you are. And that's the way we greet all of the children. And so the children not only are learning early learning literacy skills, but they're learning positive self-image skills. They actually are leaving feeling empowered. We actually even started working on their leadership skills. So we don't use words like, oh, you're bossy. Oh, you just want to take all of the Legos and you want to. No, these kids are little leaders. And so it is our responsibility as a child care facility that really are framing their futures to introduce them and honing on all of the skills that they have. And the onus of responsibility to developing them into God's perfect creation, we're partnering with their families to make sure that they fully develop. The people that we hire, even now, they use the original model where we're very family feel. We're very relational. We interview parents. What do your children like? We interview parents. How can we partner with you? Not only are we here to just service your children, but we're concerned about what concerns you as well. So we've changed our whole approach, and it was birthed out of starting with family. So we like to call it a holistic approach to early childhood, where we actually provide services to the children, but when they go back to their homes, they're gonna find a changed mom that have been empowered by our parent education opportunities. But it all started from having a mom that worked, that framed what moms look like, having a grandmother that worked. We did family activities with my mom. My mom had an opportunity to talk to our little children that we were keeping at the daycares about her culture, about growing up. And so that's something that is infused in our curriculum. We actually talk to the children about different countries. We talk to them about social problems. We talk to them about global problems, and we allow them to see things from a global perspective. And so you'll hear 3 and 4-year-olds talking about, oh, I want to go to Budapest. I want to go to Prague. I want to go to the Caribbean. But it all started from having my mom there when we first started. So I started with the first location, which is in Southeast Chicago. And so at that location, the community is predominantly Latino and African American. And so I strategically chose that location because, as you can see, I'm chocolate, but I also speak Spanish. And so I felt like my family had something to offer the community that we could reach both dynamics. And I felt like God was using me to bridge the gaps between Black and brown communities. And that's what we do, sidebar, at Transformation Church. We bridge the gap. We bring people together. We have racial reconciliation events where we bring people together to learn, to have a conversation. And so I specifically targeted that community as my first community because I felt like that's an offering that we can offer. So it's amazing to see Mexican families come in to see a girl that looked like me speak Spanish. And we have hired teachers from the Dominican Republic before. We have hired African teachers. We have hired teachers from Colombia that look like me, that speak Spanish. And so the Mexican families that we serve have an opportunity to be exposed that, Mexican does not always look like what I thought it looked like in my family. There are people that are dark like me, and there are people that are really light with blonde hair and blue eyes that speak Spanish. So they learned that Spanish is not a skin color. And so I feel like I have an opportunity to expose a lot of the Mexican families. And then our African American families, I have an opportunity to expose them to, there are Black people that speak Spanish. There are Black people that have accents. There are Black people that come from different countries. And so I think that sometimes we like to compartmentalize and we like to put everyone in a box. But I think that there's so much beauty and art and culture in this world. And we have so much expressions that we can show and teach and expose the next generation to, so that they can grow up to be culturally competent and global leaders. A lot of people don't like doing this, but I started with doing customer reviews. I will give me the authentic truth. Like, if you came up here to pick up your child and your child nose is running, tell me the truth, okay? Well, what do you like? You don't like our products, you don't like our food, let us know so that we can get our formula right. And so in my business coaching class, I tell people, you wanna hear the reviews from your customers? That's gonna teach you how to perfect your craft. That's gonna teach you how to work for your mastery. And so once we got the formula right, we said, you know what? Why not duplicate this into other communities? So we started with South Chicago, and then an opportunity came. Someone walked up and said, you know what? There's a woman who's trying to sell her childcare facility. She's been in business 40 years. She's burnt out. We want to know, is Shining Star interested? I'm like, yeah, say no more. So we go to look at the facility. The facility is a whole block long. Now remember, by this time, I was in business only 3 years. And so I'm like, wow, this is my expansion after 3 years. But that old Panamanian mom that taught me, don't spend tomorrow's money today. She used to say, don't spend tomorrow's money today. Build with a storm in mind. Mama, I know you're watching me. You're going to get me later for this accent. But those are principles that I learned. And so when I was approached for this school, I had a savings. I had my finances in order. I had financial documents. I had everything. I was in good standing. And I qualified for my first SBA loan at that time. And I was able to purchase this property. And so when we first purchased the property, it was 8 children. And by the time we purchased it and we did the demolition, I would say within 3 months, we went from 8 children to 78 children. And as of today, we are licensed to service over 100 children at this location. And that was in 2007. And so then in 2009, the lady that I brought the building from, she began to talk to her girlfriend about this young little Panamanian girl that is interested in buying schools that have already been made or already been operating. And in conversation, these 2 older women said, well, she bought my school. And she said, well, you know what? I think I want to get out the game. You think she'll be willing to buy my school too? Well, I don't know, give her a call. I get a phone call. There's a new school on 103rd Street. We want to know, are you interested in buying it? I know it's only 2 years later. Wow, 2009, you're calling me? And I'm expanding? Oh my goodness, this is scary. Of course I want it. Do you have your financial documents in order? Yes, I do. Do you have this substantial, this is a cash deal. Do you have it? I was able to purchase that building with a substantial down payment, and within a few years, I was able to pay the building off. And so I purchased the 3rd location, okay? Now, minding my own business is this one community I dreamed of getting into. It's 99.9% Hispanic families. I knew that I had a call, I had a heart for Hispanic communities. And God bring this building that I went to see like 6 years prior. It's an old library back to my mind. And I said, you know what? Today's gonna be the day I'm gonna find out about this building. I go, end up running into the owner and said, I wanna buy this building. He said, really? Okay, let me see how serious you are. Sat down. Next thing I know, I closed on the property. My husband and a team of contractors begin to reconstruct the building. And here it is, you know, 4 centers in, over 100 employees. Had no idea. I just wanted to open up one small school to take my mom off her job. And I've been able to take my mom, dad off his job, and as recent as 3 years, semi-retire. What more could I ask for? Who wouldn't want to serve a God like mine? In all transparency, I was very nervous, especially when I have these ideas of expansion. Like, I was really nervous to talk to my husband. Like, here it is, we're doing well. At this first location, things are growing, monies are coming in, we're hiring people, we're changing our neighborhood. Our brand is known in the community, we're doing very well. Then I get this idea, I want to expand. And I'm nervous to talk to my husband. I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to tell this man that although we're doing really good, we came from nothing, both he and I, we came from nothing. This is a lot of money in some people's estimation. How do I tell this man that I want to expand? And so one day in prayer, I said, this is the time I'm going to tell him. I said, husband, we're going to have multi-centers. He said, So then I want to expand. When do you think about doing this? Like next month. Next month? Yes. I got a location and okay, if you believe it, mama, I'm here for you 100%. That was the confirmation that I needed to know that the very thing that God put inside of me, that it was really my time and my season to pursue it. So when you want to talk about Mr. Omar Lindley, honey, I can talk about him all day. I call him my 6'6" tall glass of water. Woo! That quench my thirst every time. Oh, let me bring my mind back. I'm sorry, I'm on a show, right? I met my husband after I had my first location 6 months later. I meet my husband. He walks in, and he's like, I'm here to take this business to the next level. I'm like, boy, stop it. Boy, bye. At this time, I'm an independent black woman. You know how we do it in America. I'm meeting this tall Panamanian man, and he here to tell me he gonna take my business to the next dimension. My goodness, I had no idea what I was in for. He comes to my parents, who were pastors, comes to their church to preach. He and I lock eyes. My mom met him like 3 months prior in Panama and kept telling me about this nice guy that she met. So while she was in Panama, she meets this man and told him, you know, when you come to Chicago, come to my church. My husband and I have a church, and I would like you to come and preach at our church. My parents had a church. It was kind of like a bilingual church. And I would like you to meet my daughter. She was trying to set me up. I had no idea. So anyway, he comes to Chicago, preaches at my parents' church. We lock eyes. And the next day, we started talking. The next day, he shows up at my center. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, you know, I'm an independent woman. Like, you know, I got my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. You know how we do it, ladies. He's like, this ain't nothing to a boss. I'm here to take your business to the next level. What you want to do, boo? And like after 4 days, he was like, the Lord said you were my wife. And I'm like, stop it. He's like, the Lord said you my wife. And I'm not intimidated because I know you're called to business. I know you're called to the marketplace, and I'm not intimidated. I'm here to be your partner. And that's all he had to say. Ooh, plus he was fine. I'm sorry. So anyway, so we ended up connected. And just like he said, after being in business only 6 months after I met him, within 6 months later, I was doing my first expansion. He actually did it. He actually orchestrated it. My second location we bought together, the third location we bought together, and the fourth location we bought together. And even all of the stuff that he's doing, we doing it together. And so that's Mr. Omar Lindley. And one of his strongest areas that he talks about he's honored to be married to a mogul. He's so honored. He feels that God has given him an opportunity. Well, you know what? Later I bring him on the show, let him speak for himself. I am a good wife, though. I just want to let everybody know. My parents were pastors for 31 years. And in 2017, they passed on the pastoral torch to us. And so we changed the name of the church. It was called Christ International Outreach Ministries. And God just gave us the name Transformation Church International. And our goal and our aim and our mission is to transform lives worldwide. And so we are a very outreach-driven church, and we have a different model. So we are a bilingual church. We have services in English and Spanish. But our biggest joy of our church is the opportunity, especially in this pandemic, to feed 1,500 families a week. That's more larger than we could ever dream of. When the pandemic first hit, God gave us the challenge to feed families. And it started to grow and grow and grow. And as of today, we feed now 1,500 families a week. And so we're so grateful that God can trust us with such a demand like that during a very difficult time in our history. Our model, even of marriage, is we both stay in our different lanes. He knows that I'm called to business. I know that he's called to ministry. He's called to construction. He's a builder. And we don't step and we don't cross. We realize that this is not a competition, but this is a collaboration. And when he and I get together, oh my goodness, we shake some things up. And so that is the motto of our ministry, marriage, and business life. So my businesses are, of course, I own the multi-center childcare facilities. I'm also a real estate investor. So my husband and I, we are in the business of buying and flipping distressed properties. We absolutely love doing that. That's an initiative that we do together. We love it. I'm also an author. Yes, I'm excited about that. But the most joyful job that I have that I don't get paid for, but I love it, is being the pastor of Transformation Church. I absolutely love that. So the question is, how do you balance all of that? Number one, I believe in delegating responsibilities and delegating opportunities. I have about 12 women that I sit down with monthly, and I talk to them about the ideas, about our innovation, about our strategies, and we come together as a team and we work collaboratively to come up with ideas, to come up with strategies of how we're going to roll out any innovations that we have. And so that's how I'm able to balance all of that. It's not even about me, really, and it is the grace of God. It is the ability and the supernatural strength of God to get through everyday tasks and to do it with the best of my ability. And not only that, but it's also having a great husband that pushes me and that partners with me to fulfill the work of God in my life. Amen. Sometimes you may see a person that is doing well in business and you look and you go, wow, I wish I had their life. You think you know, but you have no idea. We work hard, we struggle, we are strategizing. And so I really want to show people the real hard day to day. I want you to have a peep into the life of Moguls. But I also want you to see that they look just like you and me. They have stories like you and I. They have stories of childhood trauma. They have stories of going through things. They have stories of being rejected and being bullied. But what separates them from many people, they were willing to execute after they dream. Next month on Mogul, you get to journey with me into the life of an 8-figure business mogul who is a serial entrepreneur who come from a life of hardship, who was so determined to make it. And today, she is hiring people from throughout her communities and shaking up the marketplace, and you get to meet her. Follow me for next month's edition of Mogulish.